Well, hello again to all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. Georgia Bear Reviews back at you today with a special examination. I'm being joined by Mr. Ian Ferguson, and you're in Pennsylvania, correct?
You're Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, all right, Philadelphia area. We've got Mr. Michael Kormeroff, the Stout King, with his new computer. We got it all straight. All right. Good to have you guys here. And what we're doing tonight is we're looking at the Brooklyn Brewery, their black chocolate stout. It's 10% alcohol, and really excited about this. We all have different years. I have, you're not seeing that incorrectly. I have one from winter 05-06. So we're looking at a minimum 18 years. I mean, it could have been bottled in 2004. I don't know. Probably
years do you have there?
I have a winter of 14-15 and a winter of 15-16.
So which one do you think you'll do? I mean, whichever it is.
Both of them.
He's got them both.
He's ready to
go. All right.
Okay.
So, Michael, I see you have
I have older labels. I have the 2022.
22. Okay.
Oh, a new label. Wow.
With the new label.
That is a new label.
New label.
So we've got
the same 10% ABV. They haven't changed the formula as far as I know. So it's the same beer.
So the bottles, newest to oldest, or oldest to newest, I've got the oldest, and Michael's got the newest. But if you look at age, respectively, between the three of us, it's the opposite. Michael's the oldest, and then it goes back to me being the youngest on the panel.
But the good thing about Ian's too is they're a year apart, so those make it interesting to see if there's anything that's different about the two different ones.
Right.
Draw a line here to split Ian's too. So this.
So I'm very This will be interesting, especially this one being 18 years old. It's either I feel like it's either going to be really really good or it's going to be really, really bad. And we've also got, we've been, the chat, because I posted this link earlier, we had some people waiting in the chat. I'll just go to that really quick. We have Craig Swinson says he's looking forward to this. And Paul's giving us a hard time. He says, I guess John's watch stopped. Not exactly. We had some technical issues. We had some technical issues, which we've gotten worked up. And he says he even gave, us a thumbs up before we started. Thank you, Paul. That's commitment right there. And cheers to you, Tommy Carroll. And Paul says he doesn't think he's ever had a Brooklyn beer, but he's got Garrett Oliver's Great Encyclopedia of Beer. All right. Well, Paul, you're up in Canada too. I don't know if Brooklyn distributes up in Canada. Anyway, Ian's already got his poured. I'm going to go ahead and pour mine up. Michael, do the same. This will be a dead giveaway right here. Just
look at this glass I'm using.
All right. It doesn't smell bad. Oh, man.
And there's my pour.
Barely read it with my glass.
No.
This is what mine looks like in the glass. I guess it's on the picture's on there, so you can't really see it all the way. But it's John. How does yours smell?
It smells good. It smells very dark fruit oriented. A lot of fig and date, and a little chocolate, but it smells very, very fruit forward with the dark fruits, the dates, and a little plum in there too, I think.
Ian, is there any difference between the nose on both of yours?
I would say no.
Okay.
Are you getting like similar, like a lot of dark fruit, or more
similar type of aromas that I've always gotten from black chocolate stout, where it's or in imperial stouts in general, where it's, very,
this one smells, and I noticed this with the 13-14 one that I had. It smelled almost like barrel aged. Like for whatever reason, the aging with this one, it gives it almost a barrel aged effect because of all the dark fruit and maybe the chocolate's a little bit less, and the other notes are coming through more. But it does kind of have a little bit of like almost like a barrel aged feel to it on the aroma anyway.
Maybe because mine is so much newer, I'm getting more chocolate on the front. I don't know if that's,
maybe because
it would be, but I can smell the dark fruit underneath, so it is there.
And you know what? Another thing that I get a lot with Bourbon County, which is probably my favorite bourbon barrel aged stout of all time, is tobacco. I'm picking up on like sweet tobacco notes with this one.
Interesting. I don't know if I don't know if I get any of that. I'll have to make sure I save at least one of my bottles for
I mean, 18 years. Yeah,
years.
It still could taste bad, but it smells good. So
tell Ian the story. When John bought it, he didn't realize that it was over. Yeah. He just took it out of the store. And when he got home, he almost fell over. He said, "What's going on?"
I really fell over after I drank because I got two bottles. I got a 13-14, and then I got this one, and I was drinking the 13-14 one. And I was like, man, this is really good and complex. I don't remember the black chocolate stout being this good. And then I started looking at the bottle and realized that it was, it was from 2014. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad that I looked at this one before I opened it and that we're able to do this. Anyway, we've Michael, you have anything else to add? Yours is more chocolate forward, less dark fruit.
Mine's probably a little mix of both. I can tell. I can smell the dark.
Honestly, yeah, I'm getting like roasted malt, but I'm really not getting much chocolate. I'm
not getting any tobacco in mine at all. I might be getting
I don't get tobacco either.
I'm getting some roasted malt in mine as well.
All right. Well, we've waited long enough, right? Let's go ahead and get into these. Cheers, and then we'll just kind of talk about them as we go along. And
I'll start with the older one.
I'm ready for a sip.
Cheers, guys.
I'll
be back.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see it.
You want to taste it before you?
No.
You sure? It's an 18-year-old beer. Try it. You're never going to get this opportunity again. I'm going to make my girlfriend taste it. This is older than your kids, babe. You don't like
Tastes
it?
like cough syrup.
Caitlin doesn't like it.
Okay, it's not for everybody, I guess.
No.
I immediately got like a dark chocolate when I took that first sip, so that's interesting. And of course, all the dark fruit for me is coming through as well, but the chocolate's definitely there. I just wasn't picking it up on the aroma because the dark fruit was so prominent. What about you, Ian?
Yeah, I'm definitely getting the chocolate. Very smooth, and it definitely is. I mean, not that black chocolate stout was ever particularly boozy tasting. Like it really hides the alcohol well for being at 10%. It's especially hidden in these aged ones.
I think I can taste the alcohol a little bit more in this fresh version, but it's still not boozy. It's still below being boozy. But you can tell this is not, a 7% stout. You can tell it's got that little extra like robust edge. But there's a smoothness to this one too. It is also.
I always remember my favorite story about the first time I ever had black chocolate stout was at a little bar that we used to go to for lunch in New Jersey. And this is like kind of in the beginning of the craft beer craze. So this might have been 2008, 9 or so. And I, and the bar had 28 beers on tap, and the manager liked stout. So there was one of the times they had Brooklyn black chocolate stout on tap. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'll have one of those for lunch. And then mind you, this is before 10-ounce pours were even a thing. So she gives me a 16-ounce pint glass of black chocolate stout.
For fun going back to work after that.
Yeah, then I had to go back to work. And I was like, wow, man, that really hit me. I had no idea what it was back then.
Man, I'm really enjoying this.
John, you know what I'm getting now? You're going to freak now. I'm getting that berry kind of thing that you get sometimes.
Yeah,
In
a little bit of almost a little bit of like almost cherry,
which is kind of cool because it doesn't come out in every stout.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't picked up on that yet, but I'm still getting those tobacco notes with this one. My only complaint so far is, and it probably will remain my only complaint throughout the entirety of this examination, is the 18 years. And I mean, it's to be expected, right? 18 years is a long time. Carbonation. It didn't pour with any head, and as you can see, it's flat. There's no carbonation with this. It is smooth and like creamy. It almost has that creamy mouthfeel. It's silky smooth all the way through. So you don't really need the carbonation, but I do remember having even the 2013, 2014 bottling had some carbonation. This one has completely lost its fizz.
Yeah, this one, neither of these had much. Like as you can tell, like this is I haven't even drank out of this one yet.
Okay.
And, it's
now,
pretty.
Even this one, which is a new beer, it had a kind of full, finger head at the beginning. Now it's down to you can see. It's hard to see with the pictures, but it's down.
And I poured these like straight into the glass without didn't even do a side pour because to try to get a little bit of head, and it was nothing, very little.
That's the biggest problem I do see in older beers, though. The carbonation in both bottles and cans has a lot of trouble staying for indefinite periods of time. And sometimes even 3 or 4 years could be too much for the carbonation. And it starts.
Yeah.
Yours was guaranteed to be low. There's no way you can stop.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
But the fact that it's still good shows you how well the beer is made.
Absolutely.
The year newer than this one.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you've noticed any differences yet between the two, or if they're about the same.
Very slight. There is a little bit of difference. This one, the year older isn't, or the year younger isn't quite as, isn't quite as complex tasting.
No, that makes sense. The older they get, the more complexity they get until they eventually turn and you don't want to drink them anymore, I guess.
Yeah, although it's interesting because it's just because they're only a year apart and they're both what's the 14 is 9 years old or 8.5 years old?
6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah,
right.
Going on
8.5.
Yeah.
So,
do you
this is 7. So
Ian, do you still have those? You have some other years too, because you were collecting.
I have a 21. I have some 21.
You have a 21. Okay, this is the only one I have. And the co-op usually carries it, so I bought a 6-pack, and this is the last one. So I put it in beer tastings when I do them, and it generally does well. But you know what the problem is? When it's up against barrel-aged stuff, it can't compete. No, if you're going to put this against Bourbon County, but again, price point, it really can't be expected to compete.
Yeah,
I mean, this was
if you were talking about weird barrel-aged stuff, I have this with Weyerbacher Heresy, which was a whiskey barrel-aged stout.
Have you had that one before?
Oh yeah, I've got a couple of cases, or a half of a case, or a good portion of a case left downstairs.
Because that has a good reputation. That's a good beer. I've never had it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, well, if we can get together, I can give you a few bottles because it's funny. My mother actually likes the black chocolate stout, but doesn't particularly care for this.
Okay, and your mother was always a beer drinker, but she wasn't fanatical about it.
But she likes the black chocolate stout, even though she can't drink a whole one in one sitting.
Right, and Audrey's the same way. We call Audrey the thimble drinker because she comes to the beer tasting. She has the smallest cup, and she says, "Just give me an ounce." So she says, "I'm a true taster. The rest of you are drinkers. I'm a taster."
Yeah.
But she at least can, when she leaves, she's on solid ground where some of the other people have really started to feel it, if you know what I mean. When sometimes my friend Doug will come over with 2 Bourbon Counties in the same one, and he'll put them both in variants too. And we'll do it, and those are 15.3 and 14.7, whatever they were. And the coffee variant, though, was a letdown. We didn't really like it. So it just shows you again, everything that Bourbon County brews is not equally good, but the base beer is really good.
That's
Just the
that's really the best one, you know, and it's the cheapest one.
I like the Fig Newton one though. Did you get a chance to try?
Well, yeah, I haven't had the fig one yet.
Sir Isaac's Fig Newton or whatever.
My favorite variant was that. Well, there's a couple over the years, but the Bramble Rye one from I think 2018, which had like blackberry, raspberry in there, and then the almond blueberry one from 20. It was called the Northwood Stout Edition, and it had almond extract and blueberries in it. And that one was really good. But I mean, they're twice as much.
I know.
They're lower alcohol.
I know, and for the most part, they're certainly not any better. And why would you pay 50% more for something which you don't like as much? So it's kind of whatever. But you were lucky. Miscellaneous sent you those three, and you got to try the 19, the 20, and the 21. A friend of ours sent John 3 of the Bourbon counties together in this big box, and John went crazy. I mean,
and that was back when I lived in Georgia.
That was when he was still in Georgia.
Couldn't get over 14%, so I had never.
They were all 15, and
yeah,
they were all
14.7, 14.6, yeah. Well, anyway, this one is, I think they actually make a barrel aged version of this. I don't know if I've ever had the barrel aged version. I've champagne.
I've never seen it.
I've had the Sriracha Ace or the one where they use champagne yeast.
I've had that.
But I don't think I've had the barrel aged black chocolate stout. I would imagine that one, if I had an 18-year-old bottle of that, boy, that would be quite a treat. But yeah, this is really enjoyable. I'm very, very impressed with it. Like I said, my only complaint is the carbonation, but the flavors have developed beautifully. The dark fruit notes are incredible, and it has that tobacco and that it has a barrel aged effect, which I remember when I had the 2022. It didn't really have that, and there's no booziness with this one either. I mean, you said the newer the bottle you have, Michael. There's a little bit of booziness, or no?
There's a little bit, but it's not like it's something that would turn you off. It's almost like, see that one?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's the good stuff. What's how old is that bottle, Ian?
This is the Brooklyn Black Ops. See if I can find a date on it.
Oh, the Black Ops. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. I've seen that one before.
This one's from 2020.
Now, Ian, they also came out with cans this year, which were
with 2013.
Okay, so I have a couple of 2016s. I have 2 2016s of that. But what's the distillery with roses in it?
Oh, the Four Roses.
4 Roses. So they came out with cans that had with this, in.
Oh, it was aged in Four Roses
barrels. I didn't think it was anywhere close to as good as the bottles, like the ones you have and the ones that I have. It was almost like because they canned it. I don't know if it was because it was canned, or maybe the 4 Rose barrels just didn't handle it as well as whatever else they were using. But there's champagne yeast in that as well in the Black Ops.
Interesting.
Which is definitely.
I almost wonder if aging in cans. I mean, this is just going off of just going off of just thoughts of reactions to the aluminum, whether or not like glass being more or less reactive would be better for
possibly.
aging.
I have some of that stuff, John. I sent you a few of them. Those 6 Point, the vanilla,
the black is beautiful. Yeah.
I still have a bunch of that. That was in cans and that was barrel aged. It's still holding up well, but when I do drink them, the carbonation, it's almost 3 years in now, 2.5 years in. The carbonation is not as crisp as it was when it was first canned. So I do notice that, but the taste and all the flavors are completely still there. Now, I wouldn't even think of saving that as long as your bottle. In other words,
I would have never had the patience to sit on something for that long.
Those will be gone in the ones I have will be gone in the next year to 2. Hopefully, by the time I see you, I'll be able to give you one. But I don't have. I still have quite a few because during the pandemic, 6 Point, like all the other breweries, were hurting. So if you're willing to go over to pick up the beer there, you got it not cheap, but you got it cheaper than you would have gotten it if you were buying it from some of these places on the internet. So I bought a whole case of it. Anything else, Ian, that you're getting in year two? I'm getting my flavor now is getting roastier as I drink it.
Yeah.
It's not coffee roast though. It's the malts, I think, are roastier.
Yeah, definitely as it airs, it seems to be getting a little bit more roasty.
The malts and the dark chocolate for me is picking up a little bit on mine because it wasn't on the aroma at all initially. Now I'm picking it up a little bit on the aroma, and then when I take a sip, it's definitely more pronounced now. And of course, yeah, the dark fruit for me is really the star of the show with this one. That and that slight tobacco note, it gives it that barrel effect. I feel like I'm drinking like a really nice barrel aged stout. So I'm really pleased with it.
When I said berry and Ian said cherry, I think I'm going along because the berry is sweet, and most berries, maybe blueberries are sweeter than strawberries, but maybe it is like blueberry toward cherry.
I can even see the more I get into this, like a cherry cordial, like the chocolate cherry little, with the cherry and the syrup in the middle, like it's got a little bit of that cherry cordial dessert like thing going on. But the body is not super thick and viscous like you get like some of these pastry stouts and some of these really sweet dessert type stouts. So you get the best like flavor notes with the fruit, the dark fruit, and then that little cherry in there, and then the chocolate without it being too heavy, too thick, or in any way cloying. As a matter of fact, do they even add chocolate in here, or is it just from the roasted malt? Because I don't see anything. It just says it's called. It says our black chocolate stout, brewed once a year for the winter season, achieves a chocolate aroma and flavor through the artful blending of 6 varieties of black chocolate and roasted malt. So they use chocolate malt, black malt, and other roasted malts, but it doesn't say anywhere that they actually add chocolate. And I don't think they do. I think they achieve the chocolate flavor from the roasted malt profile.
Yeah.
Which is rare because most stouts that say chocolate on them, they actually add lactose and either dark chocolate or milk chocolate to the blend, to the actual beer. With this one, they achieve it without actually adding any chocolate to the beer itself.
Impressive.
Which is really, it's really quite a feat. Yeah.
Beer Man is
and if he can get it so consistently.
Beer Man is saying if he was going to age one, he would do the bottle. There's Beer
with
Man.
a wax dip. Yeah, that's an interesting, and I've been told too, I know a lot of people that cellar beers that they'll buy them, with just the cap, and they'll dip them in hot wax and create a better seal if they know they're going to be cellaring it for a few years because it'll keep that carbonation from slowly leaking out. That's that's a really good.
Because I have a bunch of bottles downstairs with wax on them, and I mean I generally hate it because boy is it a pain in the ass to get off. But
if you know you're going to be holding on to a beer,
it doesn't come off uniformly when you get it off, so the pieces kind of break. It's bad. I've done it too. It's bad. It's not pleasant for sure.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying this.
These are corked.
Very good.
These are corked at least. So.
Anything else? It's cool that Beer Man is here.
Beer Man and Paul, our friend, our Canadian brethren, he's talking about stout aromas, 50, 55 degrees. That's a good temperature for stouts. And then Paul, he's also a home brewer, and he's talking about, and so is Beer Man, talking about different hops that provide, or no, I guess those are the malts, I'm assuming. German, Carafa 1 and 3 give a nice chocolate taste. Yeah, you're not going to get chocolate from hops. If you are, then something wrong with the hops. I don't think that's a flavor, an aroma that hops provide. Yeah.
No, it's good.
I kind of know where I stand with this one as far as I think, what I'm going to rate it. But it's definitely a pleasant surprise. I was really excited, but I was also kind of worried, like with it being this old, that it would have turned, and I would have, ended up having to drain pour it. But the best thing about this bottle too, I mean, obviously it's been taken care of. It looks like a new bottle for being 18 years old, but I picked up the 2013, 2014, and then the 05, 06. They were $1.75 a bottle.
Wow.
So I mean, if I had known what I was getting, I would have bought them all. I would have bought
everything that they had.
Yeah.
I would have bought every single one. I mean, they only had like 5 or 6 on the shelf, and they probably were all. I mean, they could have all been different years too. I didn't even pay attention, but I definitely would have picked up the rest of them if I had known that they were this old.
If I remember right, these were like in the co-op less than $12, so they were less than $2 each, but they weren't a lot less. So maybe it was maybe it was $11.50 for the 6-pack or $11.75. Yeah. But anytime you get a 10% beer for less than $2, I think you have to really say this is really good.
What was it you sent me a picture of the other day? You were at the co-op. It was like 40 cents a can. It was like an Imperial pumpkin ale or something.
It was 24 cents a can, and it was an Imperial pumpkin thing from Southern Tier, and it's good, and I enjoy. It's worth more than 24 cents. So we're not gonna quibble. It's just what I think the problem was. They're good until August, so the co-op could sit on them. They must have so much that they can't afford to sit on them, if you know what I mean. So they're losing money on those, for sure. Right. They're losing money. But how much can you buy of pumpkin ale unless you love it? I mean, unless you love it. And, I bought a 4-pack. And I got plenty of beer, so, I can't go completely crazy. But can you imagine a 4-pack for less than $1?
For $1? Yeah, that's
crazy. You start saying to yourself, that's the cheapest I've ever seen anything in the co-op. They had one from somewhere in New England in the past, I think it was another pumpkin beer for $0.25 a can. That had been the cheapest I'd ever seen, but it's rare. Usually it's 42 cents or 55 cents when they're getting rid of what they have. Now, admittedly, sometimes you're buying IPAs past their date. Do you want to chance that? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. Some IPAs can go past their date and still be okay. Some become drain pours. But if you're spending 52 cents and you have to pour it down, it's not as hard as if you paid the full price. So it doesn't matter. I haven't had too many drain pours over the years, so it's been pretty good.
Yeah. Despite how often a lot of my stuff sits in the basement for a long periods of time, I've been lucky.
I don't think I've ever had a beer like this where I've aged. I mean, where that's been, not that I've aged personally, but beers that I've picked up over the years that have a few years on them. I don't think I've ever had anything that was really bad. Everything that I've had has aged pretty nicely. So, if there was one that I was expecting to be bad, it would have been this one at 18 years. But like I said, I'm very pleasantly surprised.
I've bought the Black Chocolate Stout specifically to age. Like, for the most part, I mean, because I bought each year I bought, like, I think it was 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 in sequence. Every year I would buy a case, and I pretty much wouldn't touch it for 3 years.
Wow.
I wouldn't even open the case for 3 years.
Ian has restraint though, because he has his.
Well, he's got the space.
He has his cellar. You can have other things while you're aging it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Space has a lot to do with it. You got to have a space where you can kind of set it and forget it, type of thing.
Yeah, it's in my basement. It's on a big wire rack of shelves. It's basically floor to ceiling of beer, and I don't. And oddly enough, these days I drink wine as much as beer these days.
Really?
So,
I know Doug, giant space monkey, buys the bourbon can and he stores some of it away, and his wife finds it and she says, "How long are you waiting on this? This is 2 years old, whatever." So he has to hide it somewhere else. And she eventually finds it. But they live in a small apartment, so I at least understand the difference.
Yeah.
I got places I can hide mine, but I have downstairs, whatever. But you can't really hide it because you might forget where you put it. So I try to keep it.
My eventual plan is I'm going to get a couple of refrigerator-sized wine coolers.
That would work.
And then, that would be like, probably a good thing for the stouts.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Anything over 8%, you can store for a while anyway. I'm not saying you should store them indefinitely.
Yeah, that was the only issue with the Heresies. The Heresy is listed as an 8%, and in my experience, it has not aged particularly well. So,
well, that's at the bottom of the aging thing. So
that's like right there at the cutoff. Yeah, 8%.
I'm not sure. At this point, I'm not sure what year this is actually.
The chocolate stout from Brooklyn is 10%, and the difference between 10 and 8 is pretty extreme. And you get higher. When you're aging beer, I would say 8 and 10%. That's a huge difference. Yeah, because I've had a couple of stouts that were like even just 1 year old that were 8%, and they weren't that great compared to like a fresh can or bottle. Mm-hmm. So I would, so like an 8% stout, like 5-6 years down the road, I would imagine that probably for the most part, unless you're just really disciplined with your cellaring or you have like a temperature controlled, like, and you're really keeping an eye on it, it would be tough for something like that, I think, to age well. I don't know. Yeah. Just at least in my experience. I haven't had a ton.
My basement stays at a pretty consistent temperature, but it's not too bad down.
Cheers to Brian. We got a lot of people in the chat tonight. Cheers to you guys. Why don't we go ahead?
One more comment. There's a beer called Silent Night in North Carolina. I'm trying to think who the brewer is.
Oh, that's the one that you, that was 9%, right?
That was 9%, and I had one from 2011, which was, again, it's not as old as yours, John. It was 9%, and it was fine. I mean, and even the carbonation was good on it. So it just showed, it was in a bottle. I
remember it did. Didn't you do that in one of your tastings?
I did it one of the tastings at my house, and for the most part, the people thought, and it wasn't barrel aged; it was just a straight stout, but a good stout with a good reputation. And I was surprised that it held up that well because I'd looked online, and even in the same beer, somebody had kept it about the same length, and it was a drain pour. So maybe it's the way it's handled too. Yeah. If somebody has it in light or they have it not stored away, I didn't own the bottle for the whole time. It came from my nephew, and he had it. And then when he gave it to me, I didn't even look at the year. And once he gave it to me, I should have probably had it right away. I didn't, but we were very happy with it. It still didn't win. There was some barrel aged stuff that was against it. But again, Ian, in these tastings we do, anything that's stout automatically wins, and it doesn't matter the level of the stout. You could be using milk stouts and lower alcohol ones because the people who are at the tasting, that's what they really like. Now, you have IPA people there too. The IPA people like the New England style. John likes it too because he's in treehouse and tree territory, so he can get really good IPAs too. But the point is, you put a good stout against a good IPA, the good IPA cannot win. It's unfair to the IPA. And this last one we did last week or the week before, one from Barrier, which is on Long Island, came in second, but it was only 9 beers, and it came in second. The stout came in first. It was one, John, from what's it called? Lagunitas. They're willetized.
The willetized coffee stout. Yeah, that's an incredible.
And that's 13.1. Really good. Really good. And Lagunitas, how do they price their beers like that? Ian, a 4-pack of that, $12 at Trader Joe's, $3 for a 12-ounce beer, and you can sit on those too.
I think
so the coffee will fade, but if you don't care,
I think Lagunitas is.
I would be good with that because I don't particularly like coffee. I don't like the coffee in this coffee stouts.
Because
Yeah.
the coffee will fade over time. They tell you that's the one additive that does fade over time.
And the Lagunitas Willetized, I've had some aged versions of that, and the coffee is it's non-existent after a couple of years. And what you end up getting is something that's very similar to like a Bourbon County, something like that. And you're paying $4.95 for a 12-ounce bottle versus 12,
so you almost don't care. It's like whatever. Yeah. And what's the cheapest you could ever get the Bourbon County? Just the standard one. It's got to be $13, $15. So again, and that's only 16.9. So you're only getting an extra less than 5. And I'm not putting it down. I love it. It's just overpriced for what you're getting.
I bought Lagunitas the Waldo Special Ale from Lagunitas. It's like 13.8% alcohol. A great beer from them. It's basically it's like a barley wine after a year or so. I bought a bottle of that last week. It's in my fridge now. It was $2.95 for the bottle. I mean, I don't know how Lagunitas. Honestly, I think because Lagunitas has always been very fairly priced. I think what happened was these brewers. They realize that there's a demand for, and there's a reputation around these barrel-aged products and these higher ABV ales and barley wines and stuff. And it's not that it costs that much more to produce, especially if you have a big operation, a big brewery. It's just that they know people are willing to pay the extra money for it. No so they just mark up the prices. It's not that it's actually worth that much.
No question.
Because obviously Lagunitas does it just as good as a lot of these other craft brewers, and they're a much bigger operation, so they can. I mean, I don't know. They even before they were bought out by Heineken International, and they went through that big chain. Like when they were a young craft brewery and they were putting out beers, you were still able to get their high ABV barrel aged stuff for like $5 for the bomber bottles. I used to get the bomber bottles in Georgia, the 22-ounce bombers, and now I always see it.
Hard to figure because people did like their beer a lot, but it was hard to figure how they could make it so reasonably priced for what you were getting. And they were more known for IPAs, I think, than they were known for stouts, at least at the beginning.
Right, yeah. The Willetized and then their Russian Imperial Stout. And there was one other one that they kind of changed the game. When they came out with those, people were like, oh, wow, you can make – you're making these barrel-aged beers that are really top-notch. And then they started brewing a lot more. But, yeah, obviously when they first started – the Lagunitas IPA, I think that was their staple, and it was one of the premier West Coast type IPAs on the market at the time when it came out, right up there with like the Sierra Nevada stuff.
Right, they have ones now, Maximus. They have a whole bunch in their IPA lineup.
Right, but the original IPA, and then I think there was another one it's still around here today, but it was one of the earlier ones. It was called like Little Something Something L. Mm-hmm. It's not technically, it doesn't say IPA on the label, but I think it's a very high. I mean, it's like a West.
It's an IPA, but I think it's half wheat. That's the
it's a wheat. That's what it is. It's because
it's a wheat IPA, and it's 7.5%. That's a good beer, though.
Yeah,
that's a very good beer.
Teammates down in DC, they like Little Something Something.
It's a really good beer for sure. All right, so are you formulating a number? And Ian, if you want to give me separate ones on yours, I have room for it.
Yeah.
If you want to rate yours separately, you can.
I definitely will, because I think they are separate.
Okay, so let me split that here. My book continues, but we'll see how long more. I have to make additions.
You know which one I like better.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
From what you've said so far, you like the one that's more aged better so far.
Yeah, despite being only a year older, or only being a year older, and they're both pretty old. But
I think it's fantastic. I mean, I think it's really that good.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely. If this was sitting, if I was drinking this on its own, I would probably enjoy it a lot. But just next to the one,
when you compare them, yeah,
the 14 is just a little bit better than the 15.
Do you have some numbers in your head, Ian, or you want a little more time to sip on them? Or?
Yeah, let me let you guys go first.
Let us go. All
You
right.
guys are better. You guys do the age. You guys do the rating things a little more. You have more experience doing the rating things than I do.
I have my number, John, if you want me to go first.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to give this a 97.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And so I'm saying it's edging onto world class. It hasn't. Ian, I only give two numbers higher. I don't give 100. So only two I could give higher would be 98 and 99. And that's mostly been the Bourbon County and some of the others. I gave the Willatize to 98. So obviously I like that a lot too. But 97 and
that's pretty good. Yeah. I was torn between 97 and 98. So for me, 98, 99, and 100 are world class. 97 is just below world class. So Michael, that seems about right. So I'm going 98, which is world class, but if it had a little bit more carbonation, I would have given it a 99 or even possibly 100. Just the fact that it's a little flat, but the flavors are all there. There's nothing off. It's a beautiful beer. So I got to give it world class, but I'm just going on the lower end of world class. But it is.
You're getting the aging though. See, mine is new,
right?
And I'm still willing to give it a 97. So if you had off one of these for a while, it would have a good chance it would go up at least one number.
Right. Well, it just goes to show you it's obviously a quality beer. You got a newer bottle, it's a 97, an aged bottle is a 98. So outstanding to world class for the bit, that's a huge gap. I mean, a 21 and a 05. That's insane.
It's still hard to believe that it's still good that old too. I'm really amazed that
it really is.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, Brian, you got a lot of comments in the chat. Michael rocks. Anyway. Oh, Trish is in the chat. Cheers, Trish. And who else? Beer Man.
Is that Thrash
Metal?
Thrash Metal?
Yeah, that's Thrash Metal. He changed his channel name a while back to Thrash Life because he does a lot of stuff with the horses and a little bit less of the rock and roll and beer stuff. But yeah, so
I remember him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't been on as much. Ian, lately, I've been kind of like a stranger.
Okay, I would definitely give this a 97 as well, and this would probably be like a 95.
Okay, so the older one's getting 2 points more.
Yes.
Okay.
So wait, okay, I'm sorry. So which one? What's the 95?
14 would be like a 97.
The 14, okay.
And then the winner of 15. Like a 95.
95.
At least this particular bottle. Maybe the next bottle might be completely different.
I would say, I mean, so it seems like no matter what you go new, you go like, a few years, or you go really on the extreme end. It sounds like it's all pretty good stuff. Obviously it has to do with how you age the bottle, but if you can find a bottle that's 18 years old that looks this good, I would say pick it up because I don't think you can go wrong. Let's see. Cheers. Trish says, cheers, old friends. Was just late night creeping, sipping a homemade white Mai Tai. All right. White Mai Tai? Interesting. All right.
John, can you get Exhibit A beer? It's from Framing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Cat's Meow. I've had that. They have it. They
like that. Did you like that? That's a double IPA. Yeah. I did. I have some.
I like that, and there were a couple of them. Something I don't know the story behind it, but the brewers over there like cats because there's a lot of cat themed names for their beers.
And Ian, I was going to ask you, when you go up to New Hampshire, do you ever see Smutty Nose stuff?
Oh yeah, Smutty Nose is I've been there. I've been to the brewery a couple of times
because they have some really good stuff.
I have some of their like brewery only releases downstairs.
Because you went with Bumpy, right, on your trip. You went to Smutty Nose.
Yes, that was when I went. I met him up. I think it's like Northampton, New Hampshire, that area, and we went to two breweries. We went to Throwback, which was the better of the two, and Smutty Nose. That's where I got that 2015 bottle of their wheat wine. And Bumpy and I,
which was really good.
It was amazing, yeah. And that was 6 years at the time when we reviewed it or whatever. Yeah, it was really amazing. The problem is Smutty Nose since 2015 has been bought out.
Yeah, they're not as good. They're not as good as they were before.
And they don't do the specialty. They brew their like Old Brown Dog, their brown ale, their IPA, like their standard beer variety packs that you can pick up anywhere. But they don't do the specialty beers anymore. The barrel-aged beers, the barley wines, the really good stouts that they used to brew.
Still do them sometimes, but you could only get them at the brewery.
Okay, well,
so Ian,
I'm up there next. I'll see if I can try and run down.
Take a look because they used
to have, it's like 20 minutes from Portsmouth.
Okay, so you're close. They used to have like a Smut Labs division where they would do weird stuff.
Yeah, Trish. They still do the Smut Labs, I believe, but
Trish just said it. Trish just
said it. It's not. It's not like it used to be though. I don't know. At least in my area, the stuff they sell is a lot. It's very basic, and they do some sours. They have like a whole sour lineup, and it just kind of like 4.5 to 5%, like crushable type beers, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But we don't see the heavy hitting stuff around here like we used to. I guess Ian, the only way to get that type of stuff anymore, I guess, is if you go to the brewery. And I think from here, it's a good hour and 15 minutes. It's not very close. So it's not something I'm going to be doing anytime soon, you know?
Yeah. I mean, so Smutty Nose Throwback's a little closer than Smutty Nose because I've been to Throwback a few times.
Throwback is amazing. Oh my God. Their spicy Bohemian Pils is one of my favorite, it's a Bohemian Pilsner style beer with, brewed with fresh jalapenos because they do the farm to table. They grow all their vegetables and stuff right out back. It's on a big, however many acre farm.
It's a neat facility if you've been there. Yeah, it's a really cool.
And they have really good food too. Gosh, their pierogies, holy crap, it'll change your life. If you like pierogies, you're not going to find better pierogies than at Throwback. Amazing. But anyway, we can probably wrap this up here soon. We're going on 15 minutes. Don't want to go too long.
Let me wish you luck, John, on your move.
Right. Another 2 weeks.
Which I know is coming upon us soon.
It is. That's why we're, in a rush to get the man cave all done because most of the stuff that I own is going out there because, there's just not a lot of room in the house. I mean, it's already a furnished house and there's 2 kids roaming around.
So you have to have a different place for your stuff.
Right. So the man cave is nice. I'll put the, a computer, TV, have a nice little beer fridge out there. And these type of things I'll probably be doing out in the man cave so as to not disturb everybody else.
And now I have a camera so I can actually come on.
There you go. Well, the computer.
I didn't know to pull it out, which shows you how dumb I am. I'm looking at the top and there's no camera.
That was pretty funny.
That should have been the first thing I should have thought of.
If the camera was on the whole time, it was just covered with.
We're looking for all this stuff.
I was just looking at nothing.
And it's not there. And there's always got to be a camera, or else how are you supposed to see the picture?
Yeah, I'm staring at the camera right there.
So Audrey comes out, she goes, "Hey, you don't have the camera up." Okay, well, that was the reason.
You bought one of them new fancy dangled computers.
Right.
I still have the one downstairs, which is a 2009 computer, but now that's having trouble turning on.
This is a big difference. You haven't cut it like. The quality, your video quality is better. You're not skipping it all, and your audio is much clearer. So it's a big upgrade.
Well, if Jay can get an upgraded computer, the least I can do is get.
That's right. Yeah.
He's kind of our leader in some of these, of these ones that we do and stuff. And he's in Louisiana. I've met him a couple of times, so it's just kind of cool. John, I'm going to meet you sometime this year, so don't worry.
Yes, absolutely.
Going over the guest room, I'll let you know. And Ian, you're welcome anytime you come through. Anytime you want to visit, you're welcome to.
Yeah, I don't. Well, oddly enough, when I'm driving in New Hampshire, I take what I call the Connecticut bypass route.
So you're,
So I drive all the way up the thruway to the Mass Turnpike and take the Mass Turnpike across to completely avoid Connecticut and New York City.
you're going further west to avoid the traffic of Metro New York City. See, John's in Metro Boston now. What town are you in, John?
Chelmsford. So about
I drive through Chelmsford, basically. I drive through Chelmsford on 495.
oh well, yeah. Next time you need
I
to.
literally, I probably wait. I'll wave to you because we used to have. It's funny. My company used to have an office in Chelmsford. Although,
oh really? Wow.
Although for as long as I worked in New Hampshire, I never was there.
I love it. It's just kind of a sleepy little town. There's a lot of, I don't know, a lot of history here. A lot of cool little places to go. Nice seafood restaurants. We got a brewery, Navigation Brewery, which is out of Lowell, which I hate Lowell. But they're coming to Chelmsford, and their brewery's going to be right in the center of town. So, and I think they're opening this summer or very soon. So anyway, I'm pretty excited about having a brewery right here in town that I can 5 minutes down the road go pick up some local, truly local craft beer.
That's great.
Yeah, I've gotten to Chamonix Creek 1.5 miles from my house, basically.
Yeah,
I've had some of their beer. It's decent.
Yeah. Oh, the Leon Russian is pretty good. And when they do the barrel aged Leon Russian,
their stuff is above average. It's just not going to knock your socks off. It's a good brewery. There's nothing wrong with it. And I haven't had a lot of it. I've had just a few, but it's okay. Yeah. It's good. So, John, if you want to wrap up and say your final thoughts.
Yeah. So we'll just recap really quick. Brooklyn Black Chocolate Stout. I had the 05-06. 98 for me in the world-class range, which is really quite a pleasant surprise because you never know what you're going to get with something that's that old. I mean, 18 years, my goodness. Ian, 95 and a 97 for his the older bottling wins out, which is that's usually the case as long as, at least in my experience, the more you age it, as long as you have the environmental factors where they should be, it usually turns out pretty well. And then Michael's got the newest bottling, 2021, which he gave a 97. So all excellent beers. Definitely, if you're watching this and you've never had the Brooklyn Black Chocolate Stout, go pick it up. Try it.
See your label again. Is your label different than John's?
I think his is the same.
Okay,
so they've had the same label.
That label's been that way until this one. This is the new label now.
Right, that's the only other.
I'm pretty sure that my 2020. I have a case of 2021 downstairs, and I'm pretty sure it's the same as this.
Okay, so this makes 2022 is the first.
2022. I'm sorry, I said 2021. Yours is 2022.
Mine's in 2022, but right. I think this is the first year of this label. It's the first time I've ever seen it.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Had some new faces, some old faces we hadn't seen in a while. People, a lot of people joined in the chat. We appreciate it. We wouldn't be here without you fine folks. So that'll do it for this special live examination of the Brooklyn Black Chocolate Stout. Buy it, try it. Let us know what you think in the comments. We'll see you right here all in the next live examination, beer review, what have you. Thank you to Ian and Michael Kormeroff for joining me. And cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.